On what was supposed to be our second wedding anniversary, I spent the entire day at home waiting for Chloe. It was just before the clock struck midnight when she finally returned, but she was not alone. She was with another man. The moment she laid eyes on me, she made no effort to hide her disdain. With a voice as cold as ice, she told me to fix the expression on my face, that this was the treatment I deserved. She said if I couldn't handle it, I should get out of the house, utterly confident in her belief that I was incapable of leaving her. Later, in a desperate attempt to prevent me from leaving, she would almost lose her own life. As I watched Chloe plead with me not to go, even as she hovered near death, I simply looked away and repeated her own words back to her. This is what you deserve. As the seconds ticked away, we were less than a minute from our second wedding anniversary, concluding in a complete and utter mess. The elaborate meal I had prepared on the dining table had long since grown cold. A thin, greasy film had formed over the fish soup, and it emitted a faint, unpleasant smell. The frosting on the anniversary cake had melted, creating a sad, sugary puddle on the plate. I was sitting on the living room couch, having just tried to call Chloe's phone for the 26th time that evening. Just then, I heard a sound at the front door. The warm, yellow light from the foyer cast a silhouette of two figures, one tall and one small, wrapped in an intimate embrace. She had brought someone home with her. I suppose the look on my face must have been quite unpleasant because the handsome man who was pressed against the wall by Chloe looked startled when he saw me. Chloe paused her actions, slowly straightening up to face me. The grand chandelier hanging overhead, which was supposedly a custom piece from an Italian master, illuminated the room as brightly as if it were daytime, catching the flicker of disgust that crossed Chloe's face. None of us spoke for a long moment. It was the handsome stranger who finally broke the tense silence. He casually brushed a strand of hair behind his ear and offered an explanation. "Sorry," he said. "Chloe wasn't in the best of moods and had a little too much to drink at a party. I brought her home, and now I should probably be going." "I didn't say you could leave." Chloe's expression darkened as she grabbed his hand, trying to pull him further inside. "Chloe," I called out her name, my voice quiet but firm. The tall figure of the man froze for a second before he slowly turned back, his movements almost like a frame-by-frame animation. "What do you want?" she asked with a smirk. "Are you here to cheer us on, or did you want to join in?" It took a few moments for her words to register, and when they did, a wave of shame washed over me. My face burned with humiliation. Chloe frowned at me, her voice filled with irritation. "Wipe that pathetic, almost crying look off your face. If you can't stand it, then get out of this house. Don't you forget, you owe me this. This is what you deserve." Chloe's voice used to be so pleasant. Back when I had trouble sleeping, I loved listening to her read to me, sing, or even just chat about nothing until I drifted off. I never would have imagined that the same voice would one day speak such heartless words. At that moment, the door to the guest room opened a crack. Standing behind it was Alex, his eyes clear as he calmly asked, "What's going on?" The sight of him made Chloe practically flee from the house. It was obvious she didn't want Alex to see her at her worst. When Alex returned from his time abroad, Chloe insisted on throwing a large dinner party for him. The welcome dinner was held at a hotel owned by her company, and a crowd of well-known figures was in attendance. "What's so special about him that Chloe is making such a big deal?" I overheard someone whisper. "While the main flag is still standing at home, Chloe somehow manages to juggle two men without any trouble." Another voice chimed in. "Yeah, but before today, have any of you ever actually seen Chloe's husband? I have a feeling that title is about to change hands." Standing in a corner of the corridor, I silently listened to a few women gossip. Suddenly, the area fell quiet, followed by a few nervous, flattering voices calling out Chloe's name. A tall, elegant figure brushed past my shoulder. Chloe's face was like stone as she emotionlessly instructed her assistant to have those women removed from the event. Amid their pleas for forgiveness, she looked over at me with an unbothered expression. "What are you doing here?" she asked. If her assistant hadn't been busy dealing with the others right then, I'm certain it would have been me getting thrown out. "I asked him to come." Alex appeared just in time, putting a supportive arm around my shoulder. "Liam, let's go. Just ignore her. She's acting crazy." After that scene in the hallway, everyone at the dinner fell silent. Even if they were curious about the dynamic between the three of us, no one dared to ask any questions. But when Chloe mentioned that Alex would be joining her company, Shenshi Industries, some people couldn't help but steal glances in my direction. Everyone knew that Shenshi Industries was Chloe's own creation, and placing him there spoke volumes about how highly she regarded him. Alex, however, wasn't interested. He just snorted and said directly to Chloe, "Can you please treat Liam better?" Even with my head down, I could feel Chloe's icy stare digging into me. At the end of the dinner, Alex had had too much to drink. He was a crying mess, slurring his words as he held on to me. "Liam, we have to be okay. Liam, I miss him so much." His tears made my own nose sting. Chloe stood beside me, watching me with a chilly expression. Later, the cold night wind blew away my lingering sadness. Perhaps Alex's words had some effect, because Chloe uncharacteristically came home that night. As soon as she got in, she went straight into her study and didn't come out. I tossed and turned in our bed until 3 a.m, still unable to sleep. I decided to get up, put on a robe, grabbed a bottle of champagne from the kitchen, and quietly slipped into the media room. "Chloe, look at the camera! Come on, don't be so serious. Give us a smile." "Chloe, you got drunk last night and said you loved me the most in the world. Do you still mean it?" "Ahem, everyone, please, this woman is Chloe, and she's putting together a 1,000-piece puzzle." "Why?" you ask. In the home video playing on the screen, a younger Chloe, looking sharp and handsome, was sitting cross-legged amidst a pile of messy puzzle pieces. She gave a good-natured look at the camera, her lips curling into a helpless smile as she said, "Because Liam likes it." I whispered the words, along with the voice from the video, a hollow echo in the dark room. The next second, the door to the media room opened. The sofa dipped as Chloe sat down next to me. The video was still playing, our sweet, recorded moments from the past now seeming ironic and painful. I turned my eyes away, ready to get up, but my wrist was caught in a firm grip. Chloe's hand was dry and cold, wrapping around me like a snake. She pulled me down, and I lost my balance, falling heavily onto the couch. Chloe climbed on top of me, her breath warm and close to my ear. In the video, my innocent and playful voice said, "Chloe, you promise not to bully me anymore, or I'll cry." Chloe heard it too. Her lips curled as she slowly and ruthlessly hooked a finger into my collar. "Liam, why aren't you crying now? Are you happy like this?" Chloe's words hit me like a brutal slap. "Chloe!" Panic seized me, and I shouted, "Look, it's me! It's Liam!" "Liam!" She whispered my name, her eyes roaming my face, her breath quickening. A storm of kisses landed on my face. The forgotten video automatically switched to the next segment. After a moment of darkness, the room was flooded with light again. A chorus of voices sang, "Evan, happy birthday! Make a wish!" The world suddenly paused. Chloe froze, one hand still clutching my neck. It was like being doused in ice water. I shivered, my teeth chattering as I tasted the metallic tang of blood in my mouth. In the video, the birthday party was reaching its peak. Evan blew out the candles, and I could hear cheers, laughter, and Chloe's tender voice calling his name as she slipped a ring on his finger. Warm tears traced a path down the side of my face, disappearing into my hair. I took a slow breath, pulled myself away, and pushed Chloe. She seemed to have turned to stone. Only her eyes moved slightly, unfocused, as she watched me. My temples throbbed painfully. Grimacing, some new force surged within me. I curled up my legs and delivered a solid kick. Chloe grunted in pain, rolling off me. I sprang up, not caring that I stubbed my toe on the table, and limped to the door. Before leaving, I cast one last look back. Chloe sat slumped on the carpet, her head down, enveloped in a cloud of deep pain and self-loathing, as if she couldn't face what had just happened, or the brief moment of tenderness she had felt towards me. After that night in the media room, about a month went by before I saw Chloe again. Well, not exactly. I still saw her daily in entertainment news. Out on a yacht trip with one actor, having a candlelit dinner with another, investing a large sum of money in an actress's new show. Speculation began to circulate about how our inevitable marital breakdown would affect her company's stock price. Chloe's mom finally couldn't sit still any longer and called, asking me to come back to the family home for a talk. It must have been an unlucky day. My car got scratched at an intersection. I left the driver to deal with it and stood by the side of the road, wondering how I was going to get to her mother's house. Before I could figure it out, a black car pulled up beside me. The window rolled down to reveal a familiar face. "Liam?" "Sarah!" Seeing an old friend after so long, I felt a bit excited. Back in college, Sarah and I were both in the student government, so we knew each other well. This was the first time we had seen each other since graduation. Sarah happily offered me a ride. Talking with her felt refreshingly easy and pleasant, so when she parked outside the garage of the family home, I wasn't in a hurry to get out. Sarah mentioned she had gone back to our college recently, and I leaned in to peek at the photos on her phone. Just as I did, a loud bang shook the car. Unprepared, I was slammed forward, my head hitting the dashboard. I straightened up, ignoring the pain, and met a pair of indifferent eyes in the rearview mirror. Chloe's car was parked directly behind us. She was sitting inside, and who knows how long she had been watching us. Seeing Sarah and me get out of the car, she casually opened her own door. Her gaze was playful, like a snake ready to strike. After a moment, she seemed to chuckle softly, and, with a lazy drawl, she mocked, "Your new partner? What poor taste. Feeling lonely?" Blood rushed to my head, and my ears were buzzing. I couldn't hold it back any longer. My lips trembled as I spit out, "Chloe, don't think I'm like you. I'm not as vile as you are." Chloe looked as if she'd just heard a joke. "Even if I am vile, I haven't been in a hurry to bring someone new home." "Liam, who is this?" Sarah stood to the side, her gaze shifting between Chloe and me. The word wife was on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. I remembered a time when one of Chloe's friends called me at 2 a.m, saying she was too drunk from a social event. I rushed to the club to find Chloe sitting there, perfectly sober, on the couch. A childhood friend of hers jokingly said, "Your hubby really cares about you. It's so late, and he just ran over here without a second thought when he heard you were drunk." The winter night air was sharp, cutting into my lungs like a knife with every breath. I just stood there, feeling awkward in my pajamas with only a thick coat thrown over them. Chloe, clearly annoyed by the mention of hubby, slammed her glass on the table, causing the drink inside to splash everywhere. "What hubby? Who's calling him that? Who even invited him here?" Everyone around looked at each other in confusion while Chloe brushed imaginary dust off her pants and left, muttering a disdainful remark before walking out. I later heard that Chloe's friendship with that childhood friend fell apart, and they never spoke again. That's when I understood something very clearly. Chloe refused to acknowledge my status as her partner in front of others, and wouldn't allow me to take on that role either. Before I could say anything, I heard a cold laugh. Chloe coldly told Sarah to get lost and brushed past us into the house. The atmosphere in the living room was tense. Chloe's mom and Chloe sat in silence, neither of them looking particularly happy. When Chloe's mom noticed me, she forced a smile and invited me to sit next to her. "The wife of the head of Jiang Capital is planning a charity gala and invited both of us to attend," she said. Chloe scoffed. "All that showboating? Is it really necessary?" Chloe's mom sighed deeply, as if she were exhausted. "I know you still think about him and blame me for breaking you two up. But what did Liam ever do to deserve this?" I didn't expect her to bring this up so suddenly, so I instinctively looked over at Chloe. She seemed surprised for a moment before she stood up with a stern look, loosened her collar, and muttered, "Don't mention him to me." Chloe was truly angry. It was rare to see her, usually so calm and collected, explode like this. After venting her frustration, she stormed out, leaving her mother in tears. "Liam, what happened to Chloe? What sort of spell did Evan cast on her?" I couldn't answer her question. Evan, the ever-present figure in Chloe's life that I could never overcome or even mention, was someone she could never forget. He remained the impossible dream that stood between us. When I was 18, I invited some friends over to celebrate my acceptance into college. My brother, who happened to have some time off, joined the party. On that very same day, Chloe happened to return home from a trip. Hearing she was back, I scrambled to grab my acceptance letter from my desk drawer and rushed downstairs, eager to show it off to her. After searching around, I found her in the garden, crouching down with someone dressed in a light green outfit. They were quietly comforting a stray cat that was scared and trembling. Surrounded by vibrant roses and lush greenery, they seemed to exist in their own private world, where no one else could intrude. I stood there, out of breath, sweaty and flushed, clutching my acceptance letter with a profound sense of defeat. That was the first time Chloe met Evan. What could have been a beautiful love story was fiercely opposed by Chloe's mom. Chloe moved out, rejecting her role in the family business and openly resisting her parents. At a family gathering, she vowed to never give up on Evan before leaving. I felt like a faceless bystander in their explosive love affair. Even in my most naive fantasies, Chloe was always the leading lady. But her rebellion didn't lead to a happy ending. I'm not sure what Chloe's mom said to Evan, but shortly after, he left Chloe and went abroad for his studies. Chloe was in a slump for a while after that. She locked herself in the apartment they had shared, drinking heavily every day. She was found by the cleaning lady after she had collapsed from a stomach bleed, who thankfully called an ambulance in time. When I visited her in the hospital, she was asleep. She looked incredibly frail, almost like a ghost, with her hospital gown draped loosely over her thin frame. I had never seen her like this before, and I felt lost, just staring at her for who knows how long. Eventually she opened her eyes, and upon realizing it was just me, disappointment clouded her once bright gaze. I didn't know how to comfort her, so I playfully warned her not to upset her mom again. After she was discharged, she moved back home. No one ever mentioned Evan again. Their passionate romance was like a bubble that had easily drifted away and popped. Later, when Chloe's father passed away, the business nearly fell apart. Chloe spent her days caught between dealing with shareholders and distant relatives, completely exhausted by it all. All I could do was make sure she ate regularly and accompany her to difficult social events. Once everything had finally settled down, she unexpectedly proposed to me. She said I was there for her through her toughest times and thanked me for pulling her from the depths of despair. She added that her mother had always hoped to see us together. Finally, she asked if I was willing to accept her. Of course I was willing. From the time my parents died when I was 16, and I started living with her family, Chloe had always been my secret love. After we got together, there were happy days, too. Though we were both busy, she always found time for us to go on dates, dine together, take walks by the waterfront, see movies, or attend plays. We were just like a typical happy couple. In my most content moments, I almost believed that Chloe truly loved me. By the time I got home from her mother's house, the sky was dark, and the room was unlit and hazy. Evan had been on my mind, leaving me feeling restless and weighed down. I lazily sank into the couch, scrolling aimlessly through my phone. About half an hour ago, a popular male celebrity had posted on social media. "Someone just sent me this. The mango mousse is insanely good." The picture showed a full afternoon tea, spread with exquisite desserts, and a prominent hotel logo. Whether it was intentional or not, a silver fork and knife by a bone china plate reflected a simple ring. It was a custom ring by a niche Swedish designer, one of a kind. The other matching ring was on my hand. Fans were guessing wildly in the comments. "Who is this someone? Is there something going on? Isn't that a private afternoon tea from the hotel he's affiliated with? It's not even available for purchase." "He mentioned wanting to eat this recently, and now he's got it. Could someone be Chloe?" The celebrity had liked that particular comment. I didn't want to guess whether that ring belonged to Chloe or not. I also didn't want to wonder what she was feeling, or what had made her take off the ring she shared with me. I just suddenly felt tired. I opened my chat with Chloe. Our last conversation had been 3 months ago. After tweaking a simple sentence over and over, I finally used all my strength and hit send. "Chloe, let's get a divorce. What's your next move?" Leo held a pair of brooches up to my chest for me to choose from. The message I had sent to Chloe had disappeared like a stone thrown into the sea, with no response. I sighed and tried to perk myself up. She'll be at the charity gala too. I'll talk to her then. Leo pouted when he heard about my divorce plans with Chloe. He had volunteered to be my informant, but every time I rushed to her office hoping to talk, her assistant would politely block me. Because of that, Leo often helped me vent my frustration towards Chloe. "Let's not talk about that," I said, changing the subject. "How did you get caught by the paparazzi the other day?" "Honestly, it was just a misunderstanding. Sarah invited me to a school reunion a few days ago. When it ended, she almost missed a step, and I reached out to help her. Just then, a paparazzo took a picture. They even gave it a super dramatic headline. Liam caught cheating late at night, divorce imminent." Leo laughed, covering his mouth. "Sarah seems nice to me." "Nice or not, doesn't matter to me. One Chloe is already enough of a mess," I replied. "Did you pick a dress for the gala?" Leo shifted the topic. "Try on the one I got for you, and I'll give you some advice." The dress was a gift from Chloe's mom, a beautiful satin backless gown. Leo's eyes gleamed as he pushed me into the dressing room without a word, waiting outside. The satin felt as cool as water against my skin. Suddenly, a pair of dry hands gripped my shoulders. A familiar, warm, woody fragrance filled my nose. I turned around and looked straight at Chloe. "Why are you back?" "What, I'm not allowed back? Are you hiding someone in here?" Chloe's grip on my shoulders tightened slightly. A small hurt as my scalp was pulled. Maybe before, I would have felt heartbroken or angry over words like these, and would have argued with her. But now, I just calmly spoke. "Since you're here, I'll say it again. Chloe, let's get a divorce." Chloe seemed to ignore what I said. Her head was still down, her hands moving through my hair. "When we got married, you said the marriage was a punishment for me. It's been 2 years. Isn't that enough for you?" The ends of my hair were wound around her hand, and she tugged a bit. I had to lift my head to meet her puzzled eyes. "So, you're eager, huh? Found someone new. What's her name, Sarah, yeah?" I bit my lip. She has nothing to do with this. "Nothing to do?" Chloe suddenly sneered. Nothing to do, yet after seeing her you want a divorce. Nothing to do, yet you leave a bar late at night with her? Nothing to do, yet you're so close? Then what do you call something? Kissing? Sleeping together? Chloe's hand pressed against my back, and with each sentence, she pulled me closer to her. By the end, I was practically pressed against her body. I couldn't take it anymore. I pushed her away hard. Come on, can we talk properly, or do you need a slap to wake you up? Chloe was flabbergasted by the push. She grabbed hold of me again, tighter this time. I thought for a moment, then said slowly, Chloe, no matter what you think, when it comes to Evan, I have a clear conscience. He asked me out to tell me something. And that's all. I told you not to mention him. Chloe seemed to snap back to reality, yelling quietly. You don't deserve to. Shortly after Chloe had proposed to me, Evan came back to the country. I don't know if Evan was still the one in Chloe's heart, but I did accidentally see them having dinner together more than once. Back then, I loved Chloe deeply, so much that I was scared. So I did the one thing I regret most in my life. I went to see Chloe's mom. Chloe's mom pulled some strings, and all of Evan's job offers were suddenly rescinded. Maybe he knew I was behind it, because one day Evan messaged me, saying he had something to tell me and setting up a meeting. On my way there, his car collided head-on with an out-of-control truck that had run a red light. He died on the spot. Chloe blamed it all on me and her mother. To her, her mom was the one who broke them apart. And as for me, I was just as ruthless for wanting to marry her. No matter how I explained it was just an accident, she refused to believe me, even suspecting that the crash was engineered by me and her mom. She did a lot of crazy things, giving everyone the impression that she loved Evan deeply. Everyone assumed she should hate me and that the wedding was probably off. But Chloe locked herself in our future marital home for a week. And when she came out, she said everything was back on track. I thought she had finally come around, foolishly dreaming that we had a lifetime to get past it all. But at the wedding, as we exchanged rings, Chloe suddenly leaned in and whispered a sentence to me. Liam, now you pay the price. Enjoy your punishment. She saw our marriage as a punishment for me, and I have been trapped in her hatred for 2 years. I gently pressed a hand against Chloe's chest, trying to push her away. Liam, are you in there? Leo's voice suddenly broke the silence from behind the door. He twisted the doorknob, seemingly about to come in. Chloe raised an eyebrow. One hand gripped my waist, while the other held my wrists, pinning them against the wall. She leaned in, her warmth radiating through the thin fabric of the dress. As Leo knocked with confusion and urgency, Chloe bit my earlobe and whispered breathily, Liam, there's something you seem to have mistaken. Her eyes were cruel as she continued, You need to repay Evan and me with your happiness. Didn't you want to marry me? Didn't you like me? You've got your wish, so don't let me hear you talk about divorce again. Don't you get it? When things end between us isn't for you to decide. Maybe she said other things, but I can't remember. In my last moment of consciousness, I thought, what a shame. This beautiful dress is ruined. In a foggy state, I seemed to see a 16-year-old version of myself. He was alone, hiding under a flower stand, crying. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a pale white light across everything. Why are you crying? A voice said softly, with a hint of laughter. A cool can of beer was pressed against the side of my face. That was the first time I met Chloe. Before I was 16, my life was happy. I had loving parents and friendly classmates. My biggest worry was an upcoming exam or a pimple on my forehead. The upheaval happened overnight. That year, a major fire broke out in the city. A store in a shopping mall had been illegally renovated, and a short circuit set the wiring ablaze. Amidst the thick smoke, people panicked and lost their way. The fire caused 7 deaths from smoke inhalation. My parents were on that list. The news came as I was eagerly waiting for them to come home. Earlier that morning, I had casually mentioned to my mom that I wanted some snacks from the mall's basement. She had laughed and promised I would have them for dinner that night. That was the first time they ever broke a promise to me. During that time, I was restless and lost, like a startled bird. My relatives avoided me like the plague, fearing I would become a burden. Chloe's mother came into my life when I was at my breaking point. She told me she was my mom's best friend. They had promised to have each other's backs for life, but as they each got married and started their own families, they drifted apart, until she saw the obituaries in the news. Chloe's mother took me into her family, treating me like her own son. She had always wanted a daughter, she said, because her own son was such a handful. "That little rascal is traveling abroad right now," she had warned me. "When you meet him, keep your distance. He's nothing but trouble." It took me a few seconds to connect the bright, gentle person before me with the troublemaker Chloe's mom had described. I didn't speak for a while, but Chloe pulled open a can of beer and handed it to me. "You're the one my mom called her poor little thing, right? Why are you crying all alone? Did my mom not treat you well, or did someone bully you?" I blushed and quietly denied it. "No, Auntie's very nice, and no one's bullying me. But sometimes, I'd miss home, miss my parents. I'd wonder if I hadn't craved those snacks that day, if things would have been different. Was I somehow responsible for their deaths? I drank a bit that night. Maybe it was the alcohol, or the bright moon, or the deep night, or the fragrant flowers, or maybe it was Chloe's gentle gaze. I sat beneath the trellis and sobbed uncontrollably. Chloe was flustered, her hands awkwardly unsure of where to rest. Ultimately, she just patted my shoulder soothingly, letting me cry until her own shoulder was soaked. I don't know how long I cried. Eventually, Chloe firmly held my shoulders, looked into my eyes, and told me seriously, "Liam, it wasn't your fault. The accident wasn't your doing. Don't blame yourself. Don't trap yourself in this. Do you think your parents would want you to be in pain and self-blame every day? Liam, move on. You have your own life to live." It felt like I had slept for a very, very long time. I kept thinking I heard arguing near me. Warm hands brushed against my forehead. "Mom, it hurts," I murmured, tears slipping from the corners of my closed eyes. When I finally woke up, it felt like every single part of me was in agony. Leo came in with a glass of water, his face overjoyed. "You're finally awake," he exclaimed. Memories I had tried so hard to forget slowly came flooding back. Leo's eyes were red. "You slept through 2 whole days and nights. You scared the life out of me." He struggled to help me sit up, soothing me like a child. "Have some water. I added honey." The cup was right by my lips. I just had to tilt my head to drink. But a sense of complete powerlessness filled me. It felt like a thick cocoon had wrapped itself around me, paralyzing me, suffocating even my emotions. "Liam, don't scare me." Leo's voice trembled, on the verge of tears. "Don't cry." I wanted to console him, to open my mouth, but nothing came out. I can't remember when he left the room. The curtains stayed drawn, the thick, dark green velvet keeping all light at bay. Being in bed felt like clinging to a life raft in a storm, the only thing grounding me. I floated in and out of sleep until I felt something warm nuzzle against my palm. It took effort to open my eyes. There was a tiny ginger ball of fluff nestled by my hand. The fur ball nudged into my palm and raised its head with a baby-soft meow. A cat. Instinctively, I reached out to pet the kitten's soft, fluffy back. When Chloe and I first moved into this marital home, I had thought about getting a cat. But Chloe said she didn't like cats, and so it never happened. In the corner of the room, a shadow stepped forward. Chloe looked weary, her usual upright posture now slightly slumped. "Liam." Her voice was heavy with exhaustion. "I was wrong about that thing. Mom already scolded me for it." The little kitten purred contentedly under my hand. Chloe's gaze also landed on the kitten. "Weren't you the one who thought our home was too quiet and wanted a cat? This kitty has a great personality and is super clingy. Consider it my apology to you." Chloe's voice got a little lighter. "Your trick actually worked, you know. You even fooled me." She thought I had been pretending to be sick, all those days lying in bed. "What else do you want? Why don't you just say it all at once and I'll grant it? But don't stay in bed anymore. It's time to stop." I looked at Chloe seriously. The 18-year-old with a clear embrace of nature who had comforted me and went out of her way to make me happy. The 26 or 27-year-old who was gentle and tolerant, filled with love for me, who would read to help me sleep, walk and daydream with me, watch the sunrise over a sea of clouds, wasting time together but never feeling bored, whose gaze towards me would make us both burst into spontaneous laughter. That was my Chloe, but not the person standing here now. "What's wrong? Can't decide?" Chloe raised an eyebrow. "You sure have a big appetite." My voice, unused for so long, sounded raspy, like a broken record when I finally spoke. "Divorce." I tried my best to make those two words as clear and precise as possible. Chloe's face darkened, and after a long while she forced out, "Anything but that." "That's all I want." "Liam, are you playing hard to get? I've told you, you don't have the right to pull the plug." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The kitten stayed. It was a 6-month-old British Shorthair, fluffy, staring with innocent big eyes as it frolicked around the house. I named it Mango. Leo helped me set up a room for it. Watching the kitten playing on its cat tree, I suddenly said to Leo, "Take me to see Alex." Chloe had never let me near the cemetery. "Liam, why wasn't it you who died? Is it because you're a jinx? You killed your parents, and now Alex too. Who are you going to kill next?" That's what she had said to me on the day Alex was buried. Every single word, her expressions, her tone. I remembered them all. If it weren't for Leo crying and telling me it wasn't my fault, that he didn't blame me, I might not have been able to hold on. Alex was handsome. His memorial picture showed him gentle, smiling warmly. His grave was noticeably well kept. As I bowed, I caught sight of a mango moose standing upright by the headstone. I looked at Alex's carefree face. I couldn't help but wonder, that day when you asked me to meet, what did you really want to say? "Alex, if I had known how things with Chloe would end up, I would have handed her over to you a long time ago. Before leaving the cemetery, I slipped off the wedding ring I had always worn and tossed it into the nearest trash can." Leo drove me back home. Before I got out, he said anxiously, "Liam, are you really okay? You've seemed different lately. Even when my brother had his accident, you were emotional, almost depressed. But it wasn't like this." Leo didn't give me a chance to speak, continuing, "Back then, it seemed like you still had hope, still had life in you. But now, I don't feel that in you anymore." Leo looked troubled. I didn't expect him to say that. I hung my head, slowly rubbing the faint mark on my ring finger. I felt a bit sad. "I'll find that Liam again," I promised, more to myself than to him. Before coming home, I hadn't expected to run into Chloe here. Her gaze when she looked at me was furious, almost burning me to ash. "You went to the cemetery, didn't you? Didn't I tell you not to go near there?" My long, numb heart couldn't help but ache slightly. I took a deep breath, looking her straight in the eye, and said, "I went to see Evan. And what right do you have to stop me, as Evan's widow?" Chloe looked shocked for a moment, staring heavily at me. I walked past her, not feeling the least bit apologetic. "I won't go again, don't worry." My wrist was grabbed hard. Chloe held my hand, her eyes scanning over it. After a moment, she asked, "Where's your ring?" "Left it at home," I said. Chloe frowned, seemingly unhappy with my answer. "You're not wearing a ring either, are you?" I felt it was ironic. Her own ring finger was just as bare. What right did she have to question me? Chloe paused, her grip on me relaxing a little, as if she was going to say something. I took the chance to pull my hand away, walk past her, and leave without looking back. After searching around the house, I found Chloe's mother in the guest room. She was leaning against the headboard, flipping through an old photo album. I walked over slowly and sat beside her. This was the room I used to stay in when I first moved in. Everything inside was just as it had been before I moved out. Sitting there quietly, I turned the pages with Chloe's mother until she finally spoke slowly. "You came to me about Chloe, I suppose?" I nodded. "I want to divorce Chloe." "With Chloe and you, I can't intervene. She's always resented me for what happened with Evan. The more I said, the more she opposed me. I shouldn't have insisted on her marrying you. I thought since she had feelings for you, she'd treat you well once you were married. And I wouldn't be letting your mom down." Chloe's mother sighed, her fingers stroking a photo of her and my mom, both in school uniforms, laughing freely under the trees. "If your mom knew my troublesome daughter bullied her precious son like this, she'd come and settle accounts with me." My eyes stung with tears that were welling up, tears that I couldn't hold back. I closed my eyes, suppressing the lump in my throat. "Auntie, you've been so good to me, taking such good care of me. But Chloe and I, we just don't fit together." Chloe's mother shook her head. "It's Chloe who's wronging you. Chloe probably won't sign the papers easily." Chloe's mother sighed deeply and gazed at me with affection. "Liam, would you be interested in studying abroad for a while? You both need some time to cool off." Mango was gone. Chloe realized this fact a month later. After wrapping up a major international acquisition, she rushed back home, leaving behind partners who were waiting for a celebration dinner. Sitting in the car with her eyes closed, she had a little mango-flavored cake sitting beside her. She remembered that Liam loved desserts. When he first came to live with them, he'd hide and cry, but if you gave him a little cake, he would cheer up. In her mind, she saw Liam smiling shyly at her, but then, in a flash, the laughter faded, turning into sad sobs, just like the last time in the dressing room. She wasn't sure what was wrong with her, but after seeing the news report of Liam standing so close to that woman, she felt a burning anger rising inside her. She had come home ready to confront him, but seeing him standing there with his head low, his handsome figure wrapped in the silky fabric of the gown, that fire became a small hook, pulling her forward. Liam's panic and resistance didn't escape her notice. He had said he wanted a divorce, with a seriousness she had never seen before. Suddenly, she was overwhelmed with an unspeakable anger and fear, burning away all her logic. When she came to her senses, Liam didn't even have any tears left. He seemed drained of all life, numbly enduring everything, his eyes staring at her, but not really seeing her. Chloe's mom and Alex had scolded her harshly, telling her she would regret it soon. She didn't care. Liam loved her. She was sure of it. A month, Chloe thought, should be enough for him to cool off. After all, Liam had always tolerated and forgiven her endlessly. But something was different this time. The living room was dark and silent, the quiet filling all the empty space. She wandered from room to room like a ghost, trying to find any sign that Liam was still around. There was nothing. Then her eye caught something on the kitchen counter. A divorce agreement? his name already signed on the last page. Alex parked his car and got out, carrying a pet carrier. As he did, she saw a shadow pass behind the car. Chloe urgently stopped Alex, her eyes darting between the kitten and him. "Where's Liam?" His assistant had only found out he had gone to London after the fact. After that, he had just disappeared. Chloe knew it was likely her mom was involved. Her mom said nothing to all her hints, just sighed, eventually telling her to just let go. Why should she? Liam had indirectly caused Evan's death. He owed her a lifetime of atonement, so why should she let him go? Alex saw her and rolled his eyes. "Liam?" she asked again, trying to keep her patience. "How would I know?" Alex said, brushing past her. Chloe blocked his path. "He handed you the kitten. What does that mean? Where is he?" Alex looked her up and down, a flash of pity in his eyes. Then he shook his head with a mocking laugh. "Chloe, you really confuse me. Now that Liam's gone, you're worried. But when he was here, you didn't treat him right. You never cared, never came home. Even when you did, you'd bring other men around, frequent scandals, treating his dignity and his love for you like dirt. Now that he's gone, why do you want to find him? Is it time for another show of your true feelings?" Chloe's expression shifted, her voice turning cold and bitter. "Alex, it's none of your business what happens between him and me." The kitten meowed uneasily in the carrier. Alex seemed tired, setting it down as he rubbed his sore hands. His tone became more sarcastic. "So, can I talk about Evan then? Recently, when I was packing up some things at home, I found his journal. I read it. He came back because he couldn't let go of you. He took your mom's deal and left, but he regretted it every single day. He still had feelings for you, and he thought you did too. So he came back to apologize and try to get your mom's acceptance. But he didn't expect you to be engaged to Liam, or that you'd actually fall for Liam. He went to see Liam to tell him that it was over between you two, that he would leave so you could be happy together, to put Liam's mind at ease. But you, Chloe, do you even know who you love? Do you understand your own heart? You can't accept being so heartless, moving on so easily. So you blame Liam for everything, so you can feel like you're not the bad guy here?" "Shut up," Chloe replied frantically. "Stop it! You don't understand anything." Alex picked up the carrier again, speaking calmly. "No, I don't. I just know my brother had to leave, crying over you for so long. And then Liam cried for ages too, also because of you. And you say you can't let go of Evan while you tell Liam you can't forget my brother. You don't want to hurt anyone, but now you've lost them both. Liam leaving you was the best decision he ever made. If you really cared for him, you'd leave him alone and stop performing your cheap sentimentality." Chloe stood still for a long time. She thought about when Evan had returned and asked her to dinner. She had gone. During the meal, Evan cried, saying he couldn't forget her. In that moment, she had felt something. But just as she was about to speak, she caught sight of Liam. He was standing outside the restaurant door, thinking he was hidden, but she could see his pale face and the tears ready to fall. That was the moment she realized she had truly moved on from Evan. But then Evan had his accident. At their last meeting, he had cried, asking her why she was so heartless, why he was the only one stuck in their emotional mess. It was those words that had made her feel so guilty and anxious. With Liam, she thought of Evan's tears, and of Liam's tears too. In the end, she had to admit that Alex was right. She hadn't managed to keep anyone. Overall, my time studying abroad was pretty uneventful. That is, if you ignore Chloe, who had been following me around like a shadow. She seemed to appear out of nowhere one day. She wouldn't come up to me. She would just stand at a distance, watching. At school, she'd wait at the gate. When I went back to my apartment, she'd follow. Not too close, not too far, until I was safely inside. If my company's stock prices weren't so stable, I'd really suspect that Chloe had so much free time because she'd driven her company into bankruptcy. Every day, there were fresh flowers on the steps in front of my house. At one point, different kinds of meal boxes and desserts started to show up too. But since she never showed her face, I pretended she didn't exist. I gave the food to my neighbors and classmates. The flowers I handed to a professor who loved them, and he ended up recommending me for an internship at a famous fashion group. The internship was busy and a bit tedious, but I enjoyed it. One day after work, as I was heading back to my apartment, the quiet street suddenly erupted into chaos. Panicked screams and cries filled the air. Out of nowhere, a woman with a knife appeared. She looked wild, swinging the blade around, and blood was dripping from the tip. She saw me, her eyes locking onto mine like a predator. "Run," was my brain's first command. I turned around stiffly, my legs feeling like they were made of lead, but I sprinted. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her running straight at me, brandishing the knife. The wind whooshed by my ears, accompanied by her heavy footsteps and the sound of a weapon slicing through the air. "Ah!" I yelled out, as from nowhere, someone rushed up and shielded me. I looked up, confused, right into Chloe's eyes. Chloe was hurt. Though they subdued the attacker quickly, Chloe got slashed on her back and elbow during the struggle. The hospital patched her up. "Thanks for today," I said, standing up. "I'll head home now if there's nothing else." Chloe gave a wry smile. "You're really heartless." She hesitated for a moment, and then added, "I don't feel comfortable letting you go back alone. Let me take you home." "No need," I refused. "You should rest up." "Liam," Chloe said, sounding frustrated. "Why do you keep pushing me away?" "Chloe, what do you want? I'm tired." Chloe, her hand bandaged, looked both desolate and fragile. She fumbled a small black velvet box from her pocket. Awkwardly, she said, "Don't lose it again." She opened the box to reveal the ring I had tossed away at Evan's grave. Somehow she knew where it was and had gone through the trouble to retrieve it. I turned away, not meeting her gaze. "Chloe, why are you here? I don't understand most of what you do. I thought I had started to heal from the painful past, but it still hurts to talk about it. You said you wanted to get engaged. I didn't understand how you could let go of Evan, but I was happy. I used to really like you, so I convinced myself to believe that you liked me too. But then Evan came back. You got back with him, yet you still dated me. I wasn't sure what you were thinking. Still, I told myself to accept it all, and if you really wanted to be with Evan, I would have blessed that. After Evan's accident, you blamed me for everything. You said you hated me, yet you wanted to marry me. You did, but only for revenge. And you won't let me go, even now. What did I do wrong, Chloe? Tell me." Chloe trembled, her hand holding the ring dropping weakly. Pain crossed her face. "Being with you suffocates me every second. Chloe, let's just let each other go. It's time for me to find my own life." I dodged around her and walked away without looking back. From that day on, it seemed like Chloe did vanish from my life. Things settled back to normal. Alex came to visit me and invited me to go skiing in St. Moritz. I happily agreed. St. Moritz, nestled among snowy peaks, looked like it belonged in a fairy tale. The stunning snow scenes and bright mountains cleared away the winter gloom. I suited up in ski gear and tried out some moves with the coach's help. I must have fallen a dozen times and was feeling a bit exhausted when a skier stopped right in front of me, pulling me up before the coach could. I pressed my lips together, glancing at the fully kitted out Chloe. She seemed nervous, quickly letting go of my arm once I was steady. "I didn't follow you here on purpose." After a pause, she continued, "You once said you wanted to ski with me. Things got so bad between us that we never did." I remembered she had once posted pictures of herself skiing with a guy that had caused quite the stir online. Whether Chloe thought about that or not, she fell silent before quietly asking, "One last time, ski with me once, And then, can you let me go? Her eyes were hidden behind ski goggles, but it felt like she was looking deeply at me. Just as my patience was running out, she nodded. Chloe was indeed a patient and skilled ski instructor. Under her guidance, I learned some basic moves. Before we knew it, we had skied way off course. The surroundings were silent, every inch covered in fresh, untouched snow. I started to panic. We should head back. Chloe exhaled a cloud of breath, visible in the cold air, as she looked around with a rare, serious expression. "Stay with me," she said, handing me one end of her ski pole. She turned and trudged ahead. We walked for a bit, seemingly without any direction. The snow got deeper, and there was a subtle tremor beneath our feet. "Chloe, do you feel that? The ground is moving." "Oh, no." She suddenly spun around, swiftly took the backpack off my shoulders, gave me a hard shove, and shouted, "Run!" I stumbled a bit from the push and instinctively ran a few steps away. In a flash, the spot where we had just been standing began to collapse. A massive chunk of snow slid down with destructive force, engulfing Chloe in an instant. She was buried in the snow, rolled over several times with the avalanche. And just like that, she was gone. It all happened in a few heartbeats. The valley returned to silence, with the once calm, snowy ground now completely ravaged. "Chloe!" I screamed. But I couldn't see her anywhere, just endless snow in front of me. Trembling, I contacted the person in charge at the ski resort. I was thankful that the pack Chloe had thrown off was just a regular gear bag. The beacon and probe were in a small bag she had been carrying. At first, the receiver didn't pick up any signals. It had been almost 15 minutes since Chloe got buried. The longer someone is buried, the harder it is to rescue them, and the slimmer their chances of survival. Luckily, as we moved downhill along the avalanche's path, we finally got a faint signal. After a lot of struggle, we managed to locate where Chloe might be buried. Even though I was exhausted, I forced myself to pull out the probe and snow shovel. If fate doesn't want us to be together, and if I save you this time, you'll owe me your life. Just listen to fate and let us both go. The shovel suddenly hit something solid. Through the snow, a hint of black was visible. Feeling invigorated but too weak to stand, I knelt in the snow and kept digging, again and again. I don't know how much time passed. Finally, I saw Chloe beneath the snow. She was still conscious, and slowly she spoke. "Liam, what should I do now? I really don't want to let go of you." "If you don't want to be buried here by me, then shut up." "If you bury me here, you'll always remember me. And that's good too." I kept digging without stopping. "Do you want me to live with guilt for the rest of my life? Do you hate me so much that you won't even let me have a peaceful life? I'm telling you, even if you die here today, I won't shed a single tear for you. I've cried all my tears. I cried them all when you said I killed my mom and dad, and Evan too." Tears welled up in my eyes, but with the biting wind, their warmth quickly faded, leaving an itchy, painful trace. "Chloe, you know, when the snow took you away, I thought, if you die like this, it's what you deserve. It's not my fault." "Yeah," Chloe sighed. "It's not your fault." Her voice was so light, like a sigh dissipating into the snow. "Sorry, Liam. I shouldn't have said you were responsible for your parents' and Evan's deaths. It really had nothing to do with you. When Evan cried and asked me why I changed my heart, I thought I was being unfair to him, and that I would make it up to him somehow. But then he suddenly died. I felt responsible, and I couldn't face the me who loved you, nor could I let you go. I drowned myself in distractions, hoping it would keep me from thinking about you. But I couldn't. When you said you wanted a divorce, I knew this time you were really hurt." Her voice got softer and softer, like snow melting in the sun. "I'm sorry." Chloe's mother rushed to St. Moritz overnight. Although help had come quickly, Chloe's spine had hit a protruding rock during her fall, and she had been buried in deep snow for a long time. The doctor said that at best she might be able to stand up again unscathed, but his grave expression was not reassuring. The long journey took a toll on Chloe's mother, making her seem much older all of a sudden. Seeing her swollen eyes, I had nothing to say. Chloe had hurt me, but her mother had never wronged me. Now her daughter was lying inside, possibly facing a future where she might never walk again. I couldn't just say sorry lightly, yet there wasn't much more I could say. Eventually, it was Chloe's mother who broke the silence. Summoning her strength, she said calmly, "As long as you're fine. Once Chloe wakes up, I'll take her back home." I nodded in agreement. I knew my bond with Chloe's mother ended there. "Liam, over here!" Just as I stepped out of the airport, I saw Alex standing by the road, waving and shouting my name. I picked up my suitcase and jogged over. He opened the trunk, muttering, 2 years, and you finally decided to come back home." "Yeah, 2 years. 2 years ago, I left St. Moritz in a rush. Not long after, I received a package from back home. Inside was the divorce agreement, which Chloe had signed. She never showed up throughout the divorce proceedings. I heard it was because her injuries hadn't healed and she couldn't get out of bed. But she was generous, giving me multiple properties, and even transferring 20% of her company shares to me. After the divorce, I chose to continue my studies. Later, I stayed with a fashion group, working my way up from an intern to a PR director. This trip back was for a fashion exhibition. The venue was a private gallery designed by a globally renowned designer. On the opening day, the place was packed. A hesitant assistant approached me, saying, "Someone insists on seeing you." I turned around. Even sitting in an electric wheelchair, Chloe looked vibrant. She still wore that simple ring on her left hand. Noticing my gaze, she said apologetically, "Here I am again, in front of you." I shrugged it off with a smile. "I can't exactly stop you from seeing an exhibition." "You still don't forgive me?" I thought about it seriously. "I'm not blaming you. So there is nothing to forgive. I just don't feel anything for you anymore. Can you understand that, Chloe? I loved you, but that love has faded away. I hated you, but that hatred has dispersed too. To me, you're no different from the countless other people in this world. Just like you wouldn't hate a stranger or care about a random tree on the street." Chloe's face went pale. I felt a bit sorry for her and added, "I don't know if you're living a good life now, but I'm doing well, so maybe we don't need to see each other again, right?" After a while, she seemed to come back to reality. "I brought you a surprise." She gestured, and someone quickly brought over a pet carrier. The door opened, and the cat inside didn't look scared at all. It had big, round eyes and strutted out confidently. It circled around my leg, its golden, fluffy tail brushing against my calf. "Mango," I called out, not completely sure. Chloe waved, and the kitten, with its tail held high, ran towards her, lightly jumped onto her lap, and nestled in. Chloe sighed a bit, saying, "I asked Alex to give it back to me. This one is really not hard to care for. Do you know why it's named Mango?" I asked suddenly. For a second, Chloe looked puzzled. "Because I hate mangoes the most. The day my parents had their accident, they were out buying mango yogurt for me. When Evan was with you, you once bought him a mango cake to celebrate his birthday. And then there was that girl. I've forgotten her name now. But I still remember that mango mousse and the ring beside it. So I named the cat you brought Mango, to remind myself not to forget, not to be soft, and not to look back." I didn't know any of this. If Chloe's face was pale before, it was ghostly white now. I looked at her, calm and collected. "But I remember. I can't forget. Whether you took a bullet for me or you can't walk because you saved me, or you still have that wedding ring and are caring for the cat. You might have done a lot to try to win me back, but it doesn't work that way, Chloe. hurt is still hurt. I can't forget. Why can't you just quietly disappear from my world like you did those 2 years ago?" As I finished speaking, Chloe's eyes were red. Her hand instinctively squeezed the kitten's neck, which scratched her hard in return. Chloe snapped out of it and let out a bitter laugh. "I get it now. I won't show up again." "You've said that a lot," I shrugged. "But it doesn't matter. My attitude won't change. I won't be in the country too often, but still, I wish you the best. Say hi to Auntie for me." My assistant signaled to me from not far away. The media waiting for an interview stood nearby. I lifted my head and walked over to them. Just like I had once stepped past my pan, I knew from here on, whatever my life holds, I will walk forward just like this.